Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you an action thriller film, Limitless. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with Eddie standing at the edge of his newly bought condo balcony. He feels the air brushing against his skin, ignoring the warnings of miscreant men behind the steel front door. However, the sound of a gunshot distracts him and he sees his neighbor get killed. The men behind the door warn him to come out one last time. The scene then returns to the days when it all began. Compared to the first scene, Eddie looks disheveled like a person with a drug or alcohol problem walking on the streets. Fortunately, he is neither of those people because he is a writer with a contract to write a book. However, Eddie suffers from persistent writer's block and fails to start his book. As if that is not enough, his girlfriend breaks up with him by returning the keys to his apartment. The girl confesses that she recently has been promoted to editor, and she's frustrated with Eddie's lack of career progress. After that, he walks morosely down a New York street and runs into his ex-brother-in-law named Venom, whom he hasn't seen in years. Venom approaches him and invites him for a drink, which Eddie reluctantly accepts. They talk about Eddie's ex-wife, who lives upstate. Venom changes the subject to Eddie's book, and Eddie confesses that he's behind schedule. Venom immediately knows Eddie has writer's block and consulting in a pharmaceutical company, so he passes something to Eddie. It's a new brain drug set for market release next year, and Venom claims that it has gone through clinical trials and is FDA approved. The translucent pill lets people access 100% of their brain, which Eddie needs to finish his book. Venom suddenly receives a phone call, causing him to leave. Before he does so, he leaves his business card to Eddie and tells him not to be ungrateful for the pill, as it costs $800 per pop. On the way home, Eddie intakes the pill before accidentally bumping into his landlord's wife, who quickly rails at him about late rent and lack of career. As she continuously degrades him, the pill takes effect, and soon enough, Eddie notices things with clarity. His confidence boosts up as he talks to the woman, who's confused as Eddie lets out information about her law studies. Eddie manages to charm the woman with his incredible knowledge of legal studies, and after writing her law school paper together, they engage in a smelly workout. 2 minutes later, they finish, and he immediately returns to his apartment. He notices the mess, quickly cleans up, faces his laptop, and begins writing as if the words are dropping on him like rain. However, the following day he returns to his old self. No surge of brilliance whatsoever. But the good thing is, he has printed out several hundred pages of his book, which he takes to his editor. The editor eyes the printout warily, but Eddie tells her to read it first and leaves. Upon arriving at his apartment, Eddie checks his voicemail, and he cannot help but smile as he hears the voice of his editor, who's anxious to talk to him. She has read over 40 pages and is still reading further in, and she's utterly impressed. Hearing this, Eddie goes to Venom. Venom reluctantly opens the door when Eddie insists on talking to him. A bruised and bloodied Venom welcomes Eddie into his apartment, and he refuses to tell Eddie what happened. Venom knows that Eddie has taken the pill the moment Eddie sets foot at his door. According to him, the drug is named NZT and is actually illegal because it came from an unknown laboratory. Venom will give more NZT, but in exchange, he will pick up Venom's dry cleaning and some food. Eddie knows that Venom has him like a little bitch, but he cannot do anything about it, as he needs the pill to be productive and finish his book. Eddie does as he was told, but when he returns, he immediately notices that the door is ajar. As he comes in, Eddie finds the apartment ransacked, while Venom is on the sofa, dead with his eyes opened, and blood strolling down from his headshot wound. Although scared and stunned, Eddie settles down and reports the murder to the authorities. While waiting for the police to arrive, Eddie realizes something. Venom knew his intruders, and they were looking for the pills. Eddie then puts on gloves and begins searching for the pills everywhere, but he fails to find them. He then searches the oven and finds a Ziploc bag full of NZT, along with a wad of cash and an address book. Eddie immediately hides these before opening the door to the police who have just arrived. They take him to the police station for questioning, and Eddie tells them the half-truth. He tells them that Venom was into antique dealing and is his ex-brother-in-law. While there, Eddie talks to his ex-wife, who heard the news. The ex-wife refuses to see him at Venom's funeral. After the phone call, the police release Eddie, who takes a pill upon returning home. As the drug takes effect, Eddie gets a new haircut, buys new clothes, and a new motivation that causes him to finish his book in 4 days. He also manages to be fluent in piano, cards, fitness, and new languages, a know-it-all man. Eddie also makes some new friends. One of his listeners, a stockbroker, gives him a business card. Thereafter, Eddie is invited to a jet-set beach party down south where he reveals one of the side effects of NZT. He needs to move forward or else he will feel like he's going to explode. After cliff diving over 100 feet, Eddie has an epiphany on what he needs to do with his life, but he needs lots of money to achieve it. He slowly starts day trading and makes sure to take a pill a day. Although he's making money within a short time, Eddie needs capital quickly, so a cafe owner sets him up with a Russian loan shark whom he wears down with his intelligence. He loans him $100,000, but threatens to skin him alive if Eddie doesn't pay him back. With his new capital, Eddie trades stocks in earnest and rapidly increases his brokerage account to $2 million. This newly acquired intelligence and focus get Eddie many job offers and reporter calls. The stockbroker even manages to get a meeting with an elite entrepreneur named Businessman. During a catch-up dinner with his girlfriend, she cannot help but be impressed and yet intimidated by the new Eddie. The meeting with Businessman, the fluency in a foreign language, and Eddie's involvement in the finance world. Eddie changes the subject and apologizes for being the worst boyfriend. However, they cannot deny the fact that there's still some hormone flavor left between them. They reconnect after that dinner, and Eddie makes the local paper news as the mystery trader. But together with this new fame comes a stalker. A man in a tan coat catches Eddie's attention, and he makes sure to remember the man. At night, Eddie is nervous and anxious as he knows something is up upon seeing the same man outside their apartment. That same night, Eddie experiences something that has never happened before. He goes from being in the room to the halls. Eddie dismisses that and goes on with his day until the next day in a restaurant where he meets Businessman. Eddie jokingly claims medication is his secret before expounding his knowledge and hints at a formula based on mass psychology. While in a limo, Businessman tests Eddie by asking him to review a file of different companies. Thereafter, Eddie realizes that there is a major merger in the works. Businessman is impressed with this, as no one but him knows about this merge, so he invites Eddie for a meeting tomorrow before dropping him off at Chinatown. Eddie waits for the limo to be far before walking when he suddenly loses track of time, one of the effects of NZT-48. Eddie seems to be aloof as he walks when he suddenly runs into a gang of muggers in a subway station. He recalls Bruce Lee's movies to fight them and manages to win the fight. Eddie then ends up in a bar, meets new friends, and even shags a random blonde woman. 18 hours later, Eddie finds himself back to normal, limping without an ounce of memory of recent events. Eddie returns home, where he sleeps hours before the meeting with Businessman. When he wakes up, he calls the stockbroker, trying to bail out of the meeting as he's out of NZT, but he has no choice but to come when the stockbroker firmly refuses. Businessman asks him straight away about his opponent, Mr. Rival, who was a no-one to prominence 2 years ago. Eddie cannot help but lose his focus as he sees the news about a blonde model in a hotel the previous day. Eddie excuses himself and vomits outside, fearing he may have killed the girl during the last 18 hours, which he does not remember. That same day, Eddie returns home, where he answers a phone call from his ex-wife, who agrees to meet him in a cafe. While waiting for the time, Eddie realizes that Venom has other clients. Eddie calls them one by one, but the users are either dead or hospitalized. Eddie makes the next call, and coincidentally, the phone of the tan coat man sitting on the other side rings up. Eddie realizes the connection and runs to escape for his life. After escaping him, Eddie meets his ex-wife, who admits to being a strung-out junkie after taking NZT. She confesses that she has stopped taking the drug after she realizes that Venom's other clients had a bad level of mental activity before dying. Now that she has stopped taking it for 2 years, the ex-wife fails to concentrate for more than 10 minutes, and her life is a mess. Eddie confesses that he has been taking a lot, so she urges him to taper off slowly until he can live without it. She then parts ways with him with a pronounced limp. The loan shark surprises Eddie on the way home, and while rousting him, the loan shark spots a dropped NZT and takes it. Within a short time, the loan shark feels good, and after getting his $100,000 back, he lets him go. Eddie feels sick and bedraggles and staggers into his girlfriend's office. Left with no choice, Eddie tells her everything and admits that he needs the drugs and the fact that he hid his main stash in her house. Leaving Eddie collapsed on the floor, the girlfriend recovers the drugs, but on the way back, the loan shark follows her into traffic. The girlfriend phones Eddie as this happens. She makes a run for her life and witnesses the loan shark viciously killing 2 bystanders that try to help her. She hides in Central Park. While still on the phone with Eddie, she is convinced by him to take a pill to learn how to escape the loan shark. She reluctantly takes it, and while under its influence, she escapes the loan shark by using an ice skating girl as a weapon, gashing his face with the girl's skates. The following day, the girlfriend tells him that she wants nothing to do with NZT. Eddie responds that he will take the drugs until he has a secure future with her, but she still leads him after that. As Eddie watches her leave his apartment, he spots the loan shark standing at the post light. Eddie confronts him, and the loan shark confesses that he wants more pills. Seeing the threat, Eddie hires 2 bodyguards. He then drops by Businessman's office, looking more confident and sharp than ever. Over his revised projections, Businessman has fired a few people. 2 months after that, Eddie becomes the brokering of the biggest merger in corporate history. He also figures out the proper dosage to take, remembering to eat and sidestep alcohol to avoid blackouts. Eddie also customizes tailored suits with imperceptible compartments to hide his pack of pills and hires a chemist to reverse engineer NZT pills. At a restaurant business lunch, Eddie recognizes the police detective watching him. The detective shows a photo of Eddie in the newspaper, identifying him as being at the hotel of the murdered blonde woman. Eddie is taken to the police station, where he hires a lethal lawyer who gets him off against weak circumstantial evidence. Meanwhile, the merger goes on and is almost near its conclusion. As the meeting ends, Eddie and businessmen notice that Mr. Rival looks frail, even though he hasn't reached the age of 60. Later, Eddie finds his hotel room raided, so he buys a secured condo fortress. While on the streets, Eddie runs into the loan shark who demands 20 pills, or else he will whistleblow about Eddie's involvement with murder to his business partners. As he's about to receive $40 million from the merger, Eddie is confident he'll have enough money to deal with the loan shark. At the office, Mr. Rival is a no-show. They then meet his wife, who informs them about Mr. Rival's condition in the hospital. She reassures them that the merge will go on and will be closed when Mr. Rival gets better. As they take Mr. Rival's wife to her limo, Eddie notices her scarred driver. It's the same tan coat man. Right then, Eddie realizes that Mr. Rival must be an NZT user as well, who will not get better because he's run out of drugs. Eddie sets aside that problem as he must go to the police station and stand in an ID lineup for the blonde woman's murder. Fortunately, his lawyer gets him released. As he comes into businessman's office, he is welcomed by the man's frustration because the merger has become the topic of the media. Eddie excuses himself to the bathroom as he needs to take a pill, but then he discovers that they are missing or stolen. As he returns, a box arrives addressed to him, containing his bodyguard's hands. Eddie quickly hides them and leaves, leaving businessmen fuming. At his condo, Eddie watches the TV and sees Mr. Rival's wife and her attorney denied the merge. Just as he's about to leave, Eddie sees the loan shark with his men breaking the cameras and trying to invade his place. Left with no hope, Eddie goes to the balcony edge, ready to kill himself rather than succumb to their painful torture. But then he realizes something. There is still a pill hidden in his square can. Eddie manages to find it as the thugs break his steel door with a chainsaw. However, his nervousness and shock cause him to lose the pill into the sewer. The loan shark confesses that he has turned the pills into an injectable form that goes straight into his bloodstream and brain and lasts longer. While the two thugs look for the pills, the loan shark prepares Eddie for the painful torture he's about to experience. As the loan shark mocks him closer, Eddie plunges the knife into his stomach, twisting it inside until he collapses. The two thugs, having been busy cracking Eddie's safe with drills, return to the room. But Eddie takes the NZT from the loan shark's bloodstream and manages to fight them off, blinding the already blind man before killing them both in self-defense. That night, Mr. Rival loses his life. Eddie realizes that his lawyer has taken the pills, but did not give them to Mr. Rival. Eddie then meets the tan coat man, who aids him in searching for Mr. Rival's pill packet after his boss's death, while the stockbroker is gagged and tied on the floor. 12 months later, Eddie's book has been published, and he's currently running for the U.S. Senate. While in his office, Eddie receives a surprise visit from businessmen, who confesses that he has known for a while that Eddie has taken drugs. He also shuts down Eddie's laboratory. It turns out businessman has left the finance world and bought the original producer of NZT. Businessman guarantees a limitless supply in return for some inside information. However, Eddie comes back aggressively and shows off his abilities, claiming that he is off the drugs and doesn't need them anymore. The effect of the drugs has left him permanently enhanced with intelligence, so he refuses to be manipulated by businessmen ever again. Eddie later arrives at an upscale Chinese restaurant, where it reveals that he and his girlfriend are back together again. The film ends with his girlfriend staring at Eddie as he finishes ordering their food in fluent Chinese. His fluency in the foreign language remains even though he's off NZT. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.